Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paps, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we're gonna keep working on the comic. We finished page 10. Okay, we almost finished page 10. I don't know how it happened. I was literally zoomed in on the one part that I hadn't shaved. The two parts. I mean, the only hand is also missing. Hi, Bunny. How you doing? Such a cute emote. What the dog doing? But yeah, we're basically almost done. Like page 10 is like 99% done. It's literally, like sometimes when you are like missing like a very basic thing. I've never been a real completionist when it comes to video games, right? There are very few games where I've been like, ah, yeah, I'm gonna 100% this thing. That's I felt that way about very few games. And actually, the thing is, I wanted to do it more often. Like when I was a kid, I was like, oh god, if I don't get 100% completion, I'm gonna be a failure. I'm not sure why I felt like that. But I thankfully I've grown out of it. Now I have a much more relaxed approach to gaming. But I remember one time I was playing Psychonauts, right? And if you've never played Psychonauts before, there is a collectible in that game called Figments. And they're basically like these very, I want to say like almost like non-intrusive, these very like non-intrusive drawings that are based on whatever level you're playing, right? So like for example, there is one level that is based on like a military trench, and a lot of the drawings are of like are of like toy soldiers, like um airplanes, stuff like that. And each level has like its own theme of figments. And in order to get 100% completion for the game, you need to get all the figments as well. And it's not just like 100% completion. You also like, if you want to have like your character fully upgraded by the end game, because there's some cool powers you can get if you're fully upgraded, you have to collect all the figments. And I wanted to collect all the figments, and it almost broke me because I wasn't using a guide at the time. I wanted to like try to find them all myself. I very rarely succeeded. I ended up having to use a guide anyway. But I remember the ones that were particularly beating my ass were like in this one level that is a very cool looking level actually. It has a lot of like interesting, where is the jetpacks things? Hang on. It has a lot of cool like geometry. Like it has like the level warps around itself in a very interesting way. And I think it's very cool. I haven't seen a lot of games do it like that. But unfortunately, it also means that like some areas were like very unnoticeable or difficult for me to like think of, oh hey, maybe I haven't looked there. Because these two were like, there was like this like, all right, so you had like a path going to this place, right? And you had like this very square plot of land. I think it was like a hedge maze. It was supposed to be like, right? And the thing is, right, like around this like square patch of land was just like empty air. Like you would fall to your death if you stepped off of there. And the thing is, there were the two last figments that I needed for that level were like right over here, right? Like I would have to traipse my way around either this way or this way to get at them. But here's the rub. There were huge hedges. Like I mentioned that it was a hedge maze. A hedge mage is a wizard who can take care of your gardening. The hedge maze was blocking my view of them, and it was very unintuitive that you had to like hop on the wall and like tiptoe around the whole structure to get there. So that's like one of my most hated memories of the game, but it was a fun game. I really liked it. Psychonauts is a decent game. I have to play the sequel at some point, but I haven't found like the chance to do it just yet. Let's see. Got it. It's really funny how Psychonauts and like a few other games where what kind of put Double Fine on the map, and now I just have not heard of anything that those dudes have done since they had that one failed Kickstarter game. I need to figure out like what happened to that one Kickstarter game that they made because I feel like I haven't heard anything about the company ever since. It's really quite odd. It's unusual for a company to just fall off the face of the earth like that. In any case, now we are on to this page. Let's see here. Let's start with the jetpack and the gun. Hmm. But yeah, that is also why I respect people who like do completionism as a hobby or for a game they really like quite a lot because it can take a lot of effort to do that. I feel like in recent years it's become easier because not necessarily because the games themselves are easier or anything like that, although that might be the case for a few games, but mainly because there's just more information available. More people are playing more games, more people are writing about about the experiences they've had with their games, so it's easier to find information for what you need. Of course, this isn't the case necessarily for all games. Like for sure, there are some games where it's like you're like one of 15 people who have played it, and the other 14 guys who played it are either illiterate or have no interest in accomplishing what you're accomplishing. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Obscure things will always be a little bit more difficult to navigate, but I think that's part of the charm of people who like them. I remember before forums searching for Ace Attorney before there were 1,000 guides. I didn't even use forums like that. Yeah, no. It could get fucking dire out there. God, just having a little bit of help from a forum, that is such a classic internet experience. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever actually properly finished Ace Attorney myself. I remember starting a playthrough of it a long, long time ago on the channel. Ironically enough, now that I've actually done an Ace Attorney parody, never really ended up finishing that. I'm kind of not interested in picking it back up for the channel. I had fun doing it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to like. It's just a lot of shouting, honestly. I don't know. I have fun doing like funny voices, but that's like interspersed between like for Yakuza at least that's like interspersed with like ordinary action and me not having to do a voice, which is why I feel not so hassled doing it. Huh. I wonder if anybody's ever tried to do voice like a voice acting mod for Ace Attorney. God, that would be really difficult though. Like even just for Phoenix, that would be like hours and hours of recordings. I finished the initial first like 3 trials, I think, but not the rest of the games, although now I own them. I did watch a live action movie though. Oh yeah, how was that? I remember seeing they have. Oh wow. That's actually really cool. It's awesome that people have made that much effort into a series that they love. Sun Wong and his buddy did a voiceover? That's sick as hell. I like that. Yeah, it would be Sung Won Cho. I I don't know. I feel like I've seen a lot of Ace Attorney parody videos from him, so it makes a lot of sense that he'd be the guy to do it. But yeah, I've seen. I don't remember if it was the stage play or the live action movie, but I remember for one of those they had friggin' gumshoe breakdancing for some reason. The JP movie is pretty good. It does put into perspective just how wild him interviewing the bird is. Everybody keeps talking about that scene where he interviews the bird. I cannot wait to get to that when I eventually play the game. Come to think of it, I'm probably going to come up into some time when I have some time off not too far from now. I might be traveling for a little bit, so it might not be a bad idea to pick up a few visual novels for the DS. I am not playing 9 person, 9 hours, 9 doors though. Doors though. I'm not. I'm not ready for the kind of brain illness that that's going to give me. The bird is a key witness. What a great game series, for real. It's Wild Low, and yeah, the breakdancing wasn't the stage play. Ah, I see. I wonder how that came to be. Like, was the actor in the stage play? Is it kind of like a situation where, like, you know how in some Shakespeare plays in the screen they have in the screenplays they have like the in parentheses they fight, and the actors are just kind of like supposed to fill in the blanks themselves. Do you think like maybe they just had like Gumshoe does something interesting or funny or some kind of physical gag in parentheses, and like the actor just did that, or did they kind of like have to workshop it beforehand and were like, all right, fellas, we need like something to break the action in here. We need like some kind of like punchline to just Gumshoe getting spun around like this. What can we do? And the actor who just so happens to know how to break dance was like, I have an idea. I'm very happy for him though. I feel like he would not have done that if they had if le- like he wouldn't have done that if he didn't want to do it. So I feel like whenever actors get to do something like that, you know, where they get to like flex part of their like skills that they don't often get to use, I feel like it's enrichment for them. Yeah, I hear a lot about things like typecasting, right? Like if you're very famous in a movie for like playing one specific kind of character, you're going to end up playing that character forever. And I can see why that would be super exhausting. So I don't know. It's just nice when actors get to have a little bit of variety in their work. It's healthy for them, I think. I mean, I know I'd certainly be upset if I had to do one thing over and over again. That's why I would not survive a time loop plot. Well, the thing that kind of pisses me off about time loop plots is that very few of them explore the idea of what happens if some dude just like gives up on trying to stop the time loop. There's that one actress who loves playing the evil stepsister in Cinderella movies. God, I feel like that's a different situation though. I feel like in that regard, she's like, yo, she's like constantly blowing up her agent's phone, like, yo, any new evil stepsister routines I can do? And they just like, no, this is the 14th time you've asked this week. She had an evil stepsister party as a kid, and she just stuck with it. God, that is funny as hell. Could you imagine how nervous the parents must have been throughout that whole thing? Like, we're like, all right, is this a sign of like something we should be worried about, or is this a sign that she's gonna go far? It's great. It's great when parents let their kids indulge in like in stuff like that, though. Like, I feel like it gives the kids such an important, fun memory. It's nice when they get to experience all that. That reminds me of this one video I saw of like some kid's birthday party where like they were all supposed like she and her friends were all supposed to be princesses. But the thing is like partway through the party, one of their relatives showed up dressed as like an inflatable suit Charizard and was like a dragon that they needed to slay. It was adorable. It was like it was like a really tiny version of Braveheart. Still, that is really funny to think about. Like, like some director being like, "Yeah, I'm sorry we had to typecast you as the evil stepsister. You just really killed it out there that last thing." And she's like, "No, you don't understand. I want to be the evil stepsister." What would be the reverse of typecasting? It's like the Zyre casting. God, it's important to have a lot of fun when you do your job. I think manifesting. I think that's a good, really good word for it. Yeah. Is her arm too thick? I think her arm might be a little too thick. Hang on, let me. Hmm. Well, I mean, hang on. I've got an idea for how to do this alternatively. Like, maybe not. Huh. I've got an idea for how to fix this in post. Hang on. By which I mean I'm gonna hit it with the liquify tool once I'm done with the rest of this panel. Liquify tool is genuinely one of the best features that they've ever had. God. Every single day, I hate Celsius for not like giving all these updates to everyone. Like I understand that y'all need to make money, but like really, really wish more people had access to this tool. Okay, there we go. I should save my work. Hmm. I'm not sure what this week is going to look like for me. Usually by Sunday, by the time it comes Sunday, I have a pretty good idea of like what's going to be in store for me this next week. You know, even although there are some occasions when I have been blindsided by something in the middle of the week. But yeah, I have no idea what this next coming week is going to look like. The shit is downright mysterious. It's also a little strange because I'm not used to streaming on Sundays, especially not like art streams. So it's kind of strange. It makes it feel a lot like it's a weekday. Okay, then over here. This little line here is kind of in the wrong place. I think I put that there to show where the shoulders joint would change, but or like where the shoulder would. You know how like a shoulder is supposed to be like kind of this shaped. I think I put it there for to show where like that would be, but I think over here might be a little bit better. Let me see if I can't blend it out a little bit, just so it's not that difficult to spot. No, that looks a little strange. That's a little better. I can't stress enough just how important it is to like give yourself options when you're drawing. Knowing how to do things multiple ways just I don't know, maybe it's not the same way everybody operates. I like having multiple ways to communicate something visually. Because if I don't like how it looks one way, I can just apply a different method. And of course, it's always good to be flexible, but I don't know. I also respect people who can like work what they want to say through their art into their own visual style. Like low poly people, right? Like people who specialize in making like low poly models. They have to use a lot of like stuff like they have to focus on like how iconic the individual components of their character are. I remember seeing this one hashtag on Twitter where like um 3D artists, specifically like in Japan, try to challenge themselves to make a model with like only 236 polys. And some of the stuff that they did to achieve the effects they wanted was crazy creative. Let's see. Okay, then over here. Actually, this part would probably be like completely shaded, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, leaving that area unshaded is probably for the better. One of the best pieces of art advice that I have heard of recently, though, is focus on the big shadows. That's not to say you shouldn't pay attention to details, but having a more distinguishable, when you're using shadows, you're kind of trying to add information, right? But the problem is if you have like, imagine you're getting a report on something that you like, right? And parts of the report are useful, but interspersed with it is like stuff that is relevant to the situation, but isn't really like it's stuff about the situation, but it's not particularly relevant, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if you're trying to read a report on, say, hmm, on, say, an indoor hockey game, right? An indoor hockey game, you wouldn't, for example, necessarily care about like the air humidity outside, because yeah, that happened around the game. That is like part of the game, but it's not really necessary for what's going on in the game itself. So likewise, when you add too much detail to the shadows, it almost like confuses people. I think, I at least that was like my interpretation of the advice. And I think and that's why I think it's such good advice, because it not only simplifies your workflow by making you say like, all right, is this part of like what's important, right? Is this like an important part of what I'm trying to communicate, or can it just be like kind of subsumed as a greater component of everything else? that's the kind of art advice that I find particularly useful because not only does it make your workflow a little bit more efficient, it also makes you stop and think. So often, a lot of the art advice that I look for, right, that I specifically look for, is just how do I do this one thing, right? I want to just be able to do things, but that very rarely, I don't know, I'm not very mindful about my work sometimes. I either like what I'm doing or and how it comes out, or I don't, and so in a lot of cases, there's moments where I'm like, all right, I don't like this, but I don't know how to fix it because I'm so deep in it already. So I think learning how to be a little bit more strategic with how I make things going forward might be a big, big bonus. I think a lot of people are kind of like in that same boat. You know, we want to be able to think more strategically and be more present minded, but very often we have like a lot of things like, you know, it's only easy in retrospect being like, oh my god, why didn't I notice that sooner? You know, you have a lot of stuff bogging you down at the time. It's easy to make poor decisions when you're all over the place like that. So it is an important skill to cultivate, and I think a lot of people want it, but very few people get the opportunity to be in the right state of mind to practice that sort of mindfulness, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Yeah. Another thing about me is that like rather than in addition to like trying to figure out how I do this, I also ask the question, how can I do this like taking the least amount of time possible? I'm very much somebody who wants to like go, 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 go when it comes to like making stuff. You know, I want to get something done as quickly as possible. So again, that kind of runs at odds with this idea of like mindfulness. What color was the shading on the bombs here anyway? I wonder if there is like a word to describe that kind of like presence of mind or mindfulness. I like mindfulness. I don't know. This is definitely because maybe my own personal experience, but I keep associating mindfulness with that idea of like just meditating, right? That at least that's what my we had a school counselor when I was in high school who was always like, all right, let's try and practice mindfulness right now. You know, that was her thing. She was big into like the idea of meditation, and to her credit, it was something that a lot of us needed. But at the same time, you know, I don't think. And now at the same time now I associate it with her with like that practice so strongly that like you know it's a little bit like buried into my own interpretation of the word. So sometimes it's a little difficult to find what I'm looking for when I try to look up like how to be more mindful. You know, like I have that idea in my mind of that, but maybe that's not the right language to use. That's what I think. That's like one of my biggest frustrations that happens is like whenever I have a specific word I want to use or like a specific like I have a specific emotion, but I don't know what word to use to describe that emotion or how to use that word. You know, there's this joke, right? Like Germans have a word for everything. English also has a lot of like very diverse vocabulary for a lot of different situations, but very few of them are the ones where I want to like. Very few of those situations are ones I want to exercise that vocabulary in. I got the feeling I'm gonna sleep well tonight. Usually whenever I clean the apartment a lot, or whenever do a lot of exercise or walk around a lot, I get this feeling like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be hella well rested. Come to think of it, yesterday was a pretty busy day. Between going thrift shopping, getting home, doing a bunch of different stuff once I got home, and the stream last night, I think I did end up doing quite a lot, huh? It stays like that where I like really lock in and that I feel quite powerful. It's good to push yourself like that every once in a while. Hey, Common. Just hanging around, but hope you're doing well, and I hope you take this as a hydrate redeem. Oh, good idea. Let me drink some water real quick. I drank just a little sip, not because I'm not particularly thirsty. Right before stream, I ate. Right, I ate right before stream to not feel hungry anymore. That's generally why people eat. But here's the thing, right? The dinner I made for myself, I made it like 15 minutes before stream. So what I made was a pan of the most beautiful roasted mini potatoes I've ever made in my life. You know, a little bit of olive oil, some paprika, garlic powder, stuff like that. You know, real good stuff. And then I very unceremoniously dumped them into a pan of torn up deli ham and some scrambled eggs and some rice to make fried rice. And I don't know, it felt kind of sinful. Like it felt like I'd done some kind of great crime against food by just like wasting these beautifully browned potatoes and just throwing them into a thing of fried rice. We do love a quick dinner, is the thing. You know, I'm talking down on my own quick dinner, but it did sustain me. Like it's got like definitely like a lot of the basic food groups. Obviously, it's got the carbohydrates with the rice and the potatoes. It's got some fats and oils from the egg, a bit of protein from the ham. Like the necessary components are certainly there, but it it just felt disrespectful to like throw these like succulent, beautiful potatoes into what is the equivalent of like of a homemade Denny's Grand Slam. What isn't a Grand Slam anyway? I've never actually had one of those. Let me look it up. Denny's Grand Slam. Grand Slam. Let's see here. Oh, build your own Grand Slam. There's Denny's in Canada? Four. Okay, we can have four of the following items: two bacon strips, two sausage links, two turkey bacon strips, two eggs, two egg whites, two buttermilk pancakes, two slices of toast, an English muffin, a gluten-free English muffin, hash browns, and oatmeal. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. only. That reminds me, I kind of made myself hate mushrooms last night. Like, I wasn't a big mushroom fan because of texture, but something about the cream of mushroom soup from a can heated on a microwave made me yuck. Also, I miss Denny's. Have I ever been to a Denny's? I think I've been to an Applebee's, but I haven't been to a Denny's. I have definitely been to an Applebee's because I remember visiting one when I was like visiting my brother at one point, but I haven't been to like a Denny's. They had pretty nice pancakes. Huh. I don't know. Maybe I'll get an opportunity to try Denny's at some point. Hmm. Yeah. No, I get that though. I a little while ago I tried to make simplify my own food preparation. This was like months ago at this point. I tried to simplify my own food preparation by trying out a bunch of different like canned soups. My logic being that if I can get into like a canned soup sort of thing, I can just have those lying around in case I want a quick tasty meal. But the thing is, I had like this Irish I think was it like Irish beef or Scottish beef? I had like a beef stew, a canned beef stew, and that completely put me off of the idea for the rest of my days. That stuff was like dog water, which was really unfortunate because I bought two. God, hang on. What's her face shadow like in page shadow? Okay, it's like that. I see. The good news is that for some reason the stew in question was better the day after rather than the first day. I that's something that I remember seeing a lot in anime where like they were like, "Oh my god, this stew tastes terrible," and then like the next day it's like, "Oh, it's not so bad actually. It got better overnight." I do wonder why that is. I remember reading a long time ago that the reason why some people really like cold pizza is because the ingredients kind of because of the cold being exposed to the cold, the ingredients kind of separated a little bit more cleanly, so you can eat things more. How do I put this? Like each of the flavors is like more detectable rather than like being in like a messy, gooey slurry. So some people prefer that, and it's easier to pick out the individual flavors compared to like eating it hot. I don't know. Weirdly enough, I've fallen off of cold pizza. I used to love cold pizza as a kid, but I don't really care for it as much anymore. Sometimes stews do things. Yeah, that's the weird thing about stews is like they're very unpredictable, especially if you don't know what you're doing. I remember making back when I got my slow cooker for the first time. I remember making a a stew out of like plant-based meat because like I the thing is I stocked up on some stuff from the local Asian grocers to like prepare for this, right? And one of the things that I got was like this pack of like soy-based beef, right? Like it was like it was like soy strips that were like textured and flavored like beef. So I threw those in. I threw in some shiitake mushrooms. I threw in some vegetables. I don't remember which vegetables specifically. Probably like a winter mix, broccoli, cauliflower, stuff like that. And I used a bunch of powdered beef broth, which was like a roast beef flavor. Now, if any of the thing is, most of those ingredients, in and of themselves, are fairly inoffensive. But when you combine them together with the lacking expertise in slow cooking and the just sheer don't give a fuck about it all attitude that I had at the time, because I was like, it's a stew. How can you fuck that up? It created something truly wretched. Since then, I have never made a stew without using a recipe. I have always I'm like, okay, God, is there like a recipe for like something I want to make right now? I have never made a stew without a recipe since then. I would not permit myself to suffer that fate yet again. So yeah, well, sometimes when stews do things, the thing that they do is that they taste terrible. So be careful. I like to think that I'm not a bad cook, but like I get some bad ideas. I've seen people mess up noodles and it's like, how? But if there's a will, there's a way. You should not underestimate just like how catastrophic sometimes preparation can go. Like I remember seeing like Dungeons and Dragons stories, right, where like people had critical failures and like you try to open the lock, but you break your hand trying to like fiddle with the glass, and I'm like, that's stupid. Nobody would do that. And then I see like some people like talking about their recipes, their cooking stories, including some of my own. I'm like, oh, now I understand. Okay, I see how it is. Like I gained an insane amount of sympathy for for folks who simply cannot cook. Chef Gusteau, I am not. Okay, then put this over here. I don't know, what's something really simple that I've messed up? I feel like there's definitely something that's supposed to be like super duper duper simple, but I've messed it up regardless. I feel like I have had like one of those moments where like I burnt water. Less so a bad cooking experience, and more so an incident. I remember one time I was trying to slice bread, and I like tore a gash in my thumb with the bread knife because I fucked up the angling of it. But that's that. The thing is that that's not really a cooking accident. That's like not really a skill issue with regards to cooking. That's just me being a clumsy oaf. You know, that's like not. I feel like that shouldn't qualify. Like you can be a decent cook and still be clumsy. You just need to watch yourself. It's like one of those shonen anime like self destruction attacks. I'll give my life to make this linguine alfredo taste good, and like they like burnt themselves on the sauce, but it tastes really good. Everybody has their strong points and their weaknesses. As long as you try to like overcome those weaknesses or find ways around them, I think you should be fine. Of course, there's also going to be situations where I don't think you can compensate enough for your weaknesses. Or rather, if you try to like if you're trying to take something seriously and you're getting by trying to compensate on your weaknesses, it's gonna catch up to you eventually, right? Like no matter how talented you are at something else, right? Like at a component of something that you're skilled at, a lack of fundamentals will eventually catch up to you. And I feel like that might I've felt that several times when I've been like drawing, where I felt like a lack of understanding of lack of basic understanding about how something or other works has kind of bit me in the ass because I never bothered to learn it when I had the opportunity or I had a timely way of learning it. I try to avoid that now. I try to like make as many preparations as is possible for something. That's kind of how I rather than compensate for my own weaknesses, try to overcome them. It's just by being insanely prepared for any possible scenario. Like back during the auction, I made that command that let me like moderate and set the auction price of an item myself, just because I knew that there might be some kind of issue with regards to the the system that I was using. So that's my own method for overcoming those things. But then again, that's not always going to be able to help me, right? There are things that you can't ever prepare for. But at times like that, it's just important to be able to adapt. Or ask for help, I suppose. That's another method that, while not always reliable, can get you out of some sticky situations. Just asking for help, seeing if anybody's willing to help you. Although depending on how much pride you have, that might be a little bit more difficult as well. I noticed that that I'm definitely more prideful than I initially thought. So I understand that asking for help is always like my thing, but I feel like the work that I've done in my day job has really helped me with that a lot. Because like in most situations, I'm like, yeah, no, I could probably figure it out one way or another. I can get there by myself. But at work, I was just so hopelessly lost that I understood that if I did not ask for help, I would just get nothing done. So that was a very humbling experience. I feel like that's really helped me a lot to kind of like be better about it. I still got my issues with it though. I don't know though. Maybe the struggle that I'm going through trying to learn it on my own will also be helpful in its own way. There's really no such thing as wasted effort. So maybe even if I don't accomplish what I wanted or accomplish it in the way that I wanted to, I'll still have accomplished something nevertheless. But yeah, I think that's also why it's important to like challenge yourself, just so you have like, it's not challenging yourself. Not only like helps you to kind of improvise, adapt, and overcome, etc. Whatever Bear Grylls said, or but it also helps you to kind of understand where you're lacking. It's a good way to like place yourself, right? To understand, okay, this is what I can accomplish right now. What do I need to be able to do to do more? You know, what do I need in order to continue climbing? Because when you're making something, right, you often kind of feel, at least for my case, right, I feel like I'm working as well as I ever have, right? I feel like I'm constantly like at my peak. But then there are situations, but like, you know, in retrospect, you obviously look back at your work and you're like, man, I thought this was my peak. You know, it's like you're like in disbelief at how like arrogant you were regarding like your own abilities. Sometimes it can be a little bit funny. Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's right. There's a little speck here that I missed. I do wonder how many different ways there are of improving though. Like obviously there it looks different for each skill set, right? But I wonder if there's like ideas behind improving, right? I like it when there are lists, if that makes sense. I like it when there's like a list, even if it's not a full list, even if it's like a somewhat limitative list. I like it when there's a list, right? Because then it's interesting to see how interesting to see like your experiences mirrored in that list and otherwise. Like for example, if there was like a list of different methods of improvement or ideals behind improvement, right? I'd be like, oh, this is kind of like that. This is kind of like that. I'm somebody who operates really well if he can relate new things to like ideas that he already had, or like relate to like experiences he's had before. If somebody can tell me confidently, like, you remember this thing, it'll be exactly like that. I'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be like way less stressed. That's why I like it when there are like archetypes essentially. May list is not the right word, but may archetypes might be. Actually, is there a list like that? Let me look it up. Definitions of improvement. Wikipedia. Okay, first article we got to is continual improvement process, also often called continuous improvement process, abbreviated as CIP. Is it an ongoing effort to improve products, services, or processes? This is a business thing. This is the Kaizen model. We all know that. Still, it's not bad to have a method in place. Yeah, Kaizen means literally continuous improvement. You learn this in like a bunch of different business classes. It's just like an idea of like, okay, okay, so like we have this issue or we have this process. How can we make it faster? How can we make it more efficient? How can we make it produce more? Well, I guess those could be seen as like archetypes of what improvement is, huh? Hmm. Yeah, stuff like going faster or being more efficient. I guess those could be seen as like methods of improvement in and of themselves. I don't know. What's also kind of difficult is that it's sometimes difficult. It's especially for stuff like art and whatnot, right? It's a little hard to like figure out what improvement can look like because you can still be drawing but not really improving, right? Like this is something that I'm running into with like fighting games. Is that I'm getting into fights, I'm fighting, but I'm not necessarily improving. You know, it's kind of like hitting a wooden dummy for like 1,000 years. Like, am I learning something about a fighting? Maybe, but like it's not like concerted learning. I feel like I'm not absorbing anything if that makes sense. Like I'm just getting experience, but I'm not actually like internalizing any of it. That's why I think maybe a better approach for me might be to just hit the books. I found that I'm actually rather efficient if I can like take the time to myself to like internalize something or like pour over a technique or idea. If I get a chance to do that and practice with it, I can very easily like learn it. But if it's like live coaching, I get like I like get it's like a turn off for me. I can't. I like feel stressed. I feel like I'm under pressure and that I'm wasting somebody and that I'm using up somebody else's time too much. Which is certainly not the case, right? Like they wouldn't be taking the time to teach me if they didn't want to teach me. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more pressure for me that I don't really appreciate. Let me take away these two lines here and see if we can't do something else here. Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of research about like the idea that there's a lot of different types of learning, right? You know, there are people who learn better visually, people who learn better reading, people who learn better using hands-on stuff, and people who learn better using certain other methods. But I do think that like, and again, this might be my bias because it's just my kind of learning. I I feel like hands-off definitely gives me the experience that I hands-on definitely gives me the experience that I need. But I'm so averse to like being in like high pressure situations where I'm trying to learn something that it's like very difficult for me to commit to it. We need to like really develop like VR simulation technologies just so I have like a chance of like of like being like okay, you know, having like a fully zero pressure like live environment, right? If that makes sense, like okay, I don't need to worry about this so much because now I have like this robot companion who is like pretending to be like a 10 different customers at once or something. Okay, then over here. Let me try something real quick. Yeah, this works. Or maybe I could just use really thick lines for this. I don't know. Maybe am I like overcooking this? Am I overhandling this? I might be overhandling it. I like the phrase overhandling in terms of like. Hang on. No, the line's too thick. Okay, then over here. Will this work? Yeah, this thing's a little bit cleaner than what I had before. I don't know. I like the idea of like having much sharper motions in the line art. I think redrawing that Mashal panel that Bunny submitted really awakened something in me. I don't know. It's been a while since I've studied like action lines and whatnot. I remember trying to do that for the first issue of the comic. I remember going back to a lot of like Baki panels and this one graphic novel called Prince of Cats. That's like I could gush about Prince of Cats for like a while, but it's essentially like a retelling of like the first couple of acts of Romeo and Juliet from the perspective of Tybalt, and it's set in like 80s New York. But everybody still has like swords and whatnot for some reason. It's kind of crazy, but it's really cool looking. The art in it is gorgeous. Yeah, it's crazy that I almost missed it too because I ended up getting the PDF of it off of one of those humble bundle things. It's been a while since I've taken a look at like the graphic novels that I've gotten from those. One of these weekends, I need to give myself a nice big break just to really pour through those. All right. I remember a long. Hang on. What if I made a? I love how I still have like all the horses from the meme redraw stream in here. Bro, what are you guys doing? And like, they're just chilling in my downloads folder now. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, that's for sure. Let's see. Heart. Ariana, what are you doing here? What, the Grande? Hmm. Let's see. Where did these ones come from? It's a meme? Hang on, let me look that up. What the fuck? It feels like I haven't heard about Ariana Grande in a while. Is she doing all right? Like what's she been doing? I kind of like this one. All right, let's try to do something with this. Okay, and behind everything, we're gonna add a thing of concentric circles. She dated a married man? Oof, that is. To try and borrow the vernacular, I don't think that's slay at all. While working on the new Wicked movie? Oh my god. Dude. Alright, so she's been up to some shit, huh? Christ alive. It was the guy who played SpongeBob in the live mute. What the fuck? Oh my god. This is some fucking Nickelodeon kind of beef. Like, what the fuck do you mean? This is like something that you would see in like a fucking Hannah Montana skit. This is so much. Oh my god. Well, I guess at least now we know what she's been up to. But the SpongeBob guy, give it a rest. Oh my god. Does the SpongeBob guy just have some kind of charisma that I was not previously aware of? Well, I guess it's their own beef, not mine. Still, that is crazy. SpongeBob musical guy, I was not familiar with your game. Slash Ariana Grande, I was also not familiar with her game. I'm not familiar with any celebrity's game, to be fair. I mind my own business when it comes to that front. I don't really know much about celebrities. So it's always a surprise whenever I hear about like the shit that they've been getting up to. My ass does not pay attention. Well, at the very least, that lets me keep my peace, so I guess it's not really that much of a bad thing. Okay, I like this one a little better. Okay, and then we'll figure out some kind of filter we can use for this. I kind of like this one, but I wish it was like in a more warm hue. Let's go back to the subtract one. Let's subtract. Here we go. Nope. No. Getting warmer. Getting warmer. Okay, so maybe if I just... I'm gonna mess around with it on the multiply setting. Alright, that looks pretty good. Although I do want to bring more attention, maybe. Hang on. I think I messed up having the darkest circle be like the one in the middle because I feel like... Is there a way for me to change or lighten up the color of that? Let me try something. Alright, select color gamut, this one here. Alright, how about that? Yeah, it pretty much well works. I just have to do one thing though. I need to like... Hang on, I need to increase the tolerance on these a little bit. There we go. This is just as a means of like cleaning up those like lines there. They are really putting me off. Glock of VT, hello everyone! Welcome to the stream. I'm Pabs, a racing VTuber and an artist. We are working on a comic here. How was your stream? Hang on. What was your gang up to? As always, if you streaming can take a lot out of you, so if you want to just if you gotta log off, 100% cool with it. Please feel free and by all means go ahead. If you want to stick around and chat, though, you're always welcome to stay. Hey. Yeah, I think I have. I don't think I've been rated by you before. This is so exciting. Double hide. It's fine. You had like one of those dual shot power ups on. It's fine. I was celebrating hitting affiliate and showing off some of my tea. Congratulations! I didn't know you were hitting affiliate recently. You must have worked really hard. Congratulations once again. Brain fried. Tea though, that sounds pretty cool. You have a big collection or something? It sounds like a relaxing time. I have 38 different imported Chinese teas. That is so baller. Did you try any during the stream that you particularly enjoyed? I reckon you probably wouldn't have ordered them if you don't enjoy them. But which one do you think was your favorite of the ones that you tried so far? Having a wide array of teas to choose from can be like so rewarding. I remember one time I like ended up buying like 5 different boxes of just like supermarket tea, and I already felt like I was like living luxuriously. So having like the imported good stuff must be quite thrilling. My favorite type of tea in general is show pour tea, and I end the stream by drinking some. Very nice. What sets it apart in your mind? Is it like a flavor? Is it like 100% a flavor thing? Is it like the scent of it? Obviously, those two are like in similar camps, right? Like I know that flavor is very influenced by scent, as far as I'm aware. It's fascinating to see why people end up enjoying some things and not others. So I'm always curious to know like what makes something their favorite. Show pour tea. Let me look it up. They all have wildly different flavors and scents, but show pour specifically set apart because of the super dark color. Let me take a look. Ooh, yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, I know. I see what you mean. That's so dark it practically looks like coffee. Damn, that's cool. Yeah, I really like Chinese tea culture is so dope because of all the. I particularly like it because of like all the accessories that I see around it, like with those like little tea animals that they have in like the basin where they chuck away some of the tea. Tastes super earthy, which is not for everyone. It really does. That's the darkest that tea can get, basically. Fascinating. Oh yeah, I showed off most of my tea accessories too. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a lot of fun. It's so good that you had a great time. I've got three of those little tea pets: a rat, a bunny, and an alligator. That's so cute. All right, hang on. I gotta relabel some of these layers. The layer 22 does not tell me what this is. Plus PG, L plus FG. I forgot that I drew like this whole thing shooting lightning in the background there. Hmm. If you were to get another tea pet, what kind of animal would you like it to be based on? Like what do you think? What do you think would be like the next tea pet that you want to get if you were to get another one? I've always been very partial to those three-legged frogs that are like supposed to be like good luck symbols. Definitely a tiger, since it's my birth year animal. Cool. Tigers, huh? Got to be one of the top 10 animals for sure. I like the tigers because they have a lot of like they're just such a distinctive beast, right? Like nobody else on earth is doing it like tigers do. Top 10 beasts for sure. Yeah. Okay, we got the helmet over here. Sadly, shading Hawk in this panel is going to be the easiest part. She's like the most simplest element of all of this. Shading that little hole in the background. I'm going to try and keep the shadow simple for this little peek into the background, but it's going to be a little bit complicated. Or maybe it won't be. I don't know. There's something about backgrounds that always makes me a little nervous. It's kind of like it's kind of like those guys that had to handle the Demon Core experiment. You know, like yeah, one of the guys like started wearing a cowboy hat while doing it, but everybody else in that room must have been nervous as fuck each time he did that shit. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know. I feel like if I was in the room with the guy who was like, "Nah, forget the shims. Let me get in there with a screwdriver," I would have been like, "Are you fucking stupid?" Like it was such a like gross negligence that resulted in that incident. He was probably like the head scientist or something. I don't know, or maybe it was just more convenient to get results that way. I mean, if your job could kill you any day, you probably deserve to dress how you like. Right, I understand that, but like they had proper equipment to do all that. Like I do not listen. I respect the drip. All right, I respect the ideal of like mucking around with nuclear implements, wearing cowboy regalia. What I don't condone is just like being all right. Fuck it. Let me let me add that thing with a screwdriver. Like I would not be making fun of him for dressing like a cowboy if he was not being such a dickhead. Because like him being like a reckless dickhead and also dressing like a cowboy paints a very strong picture of what this dude must have been like. It was the 40s. I really don't think they knew what safety standards were. But with nuclear stuff, I feel like they had like an inkling. Like those nerds must have had like some idea of how dangerous this could be. Like they said, I think this was in a dramatization of the story, but I remember that one of them was like after the incident happened, one of them was like, "Nobody move," because then they needed to like calculate how much radiation they'd each gotten from the incident. Again, though, that was a dramatization. It's possible that while they were concerned, they didn't really like. They were like, "Oh, it couldn't possibly happen to us." I don't know. Maybe they were just like maybe they were the knowledge that they had at the time let them be like a little bit more flippant about it. I'm just saying, you would not catch me slipping when nuclear implements are in the room. Hell, I have to lock in whenever I use my microwave. let alone let alone the demon core. Oh god. The microwave is definitely one of those appliances that I feel that I'm still a little bit of a luddite about using. Like I use it all the time, but the thing makes me nervous. I feel like I need to understand it better. Like in my heart, I understand that it could not possibly be like that dangerous. It was the 40s, so maybe they just thought it'd be okay if they did some coke after. It would be crazy if cocaine helped you fight radiation poisoning. There would have been like a Herlock. I keep saying Sherlock Holmes. That's not his fucking name. Sherlock Holmes case where like Holmes got exposed to like a thing of radium, and Watson would be like, "Oh my god, Holmes, are you okay?" And Holmes was like, "It's quite fine, Watson. I took my cocaine this morning." The government doesn't want you to know that doing a couple lines can cure cancer. Has anybody tried? Is my question. Do we know for sure? I mean, for all we know, those doctors in the 1400s or 1810s who were prescribing cocaine for like a migraine might have been onto something. I mean, I think like Adderall and some other ADHD medications are basically just like toned down amphetamines, right? So I think so maybe there is some kind of application for cocaine outside of like its, shall we say, ordinary recreational uses. BRB sticking my head in my microwave and setting up some lights. If we don't hear back from you in like 5 minutes, can I have your tea pets? Just asking real quick. No particular reason. Do take care of your body. It did fuck me up. Okay, yay! Oh god, it did fuck me up reading that some people microwave their cup noodles. Not because I'm a particular snob about like microwaving water to boil it. That's fine. But like I was worried about like the plastic in the cup itself when these people very clearly were not worried about that themselves. Or like this other time, some other VTuber on Twitter was like, "I don't get it. Why do we have to wash rice?" Like, sis, the arsenic. Bro doesn't even know that rice has like trace really easily picks up arsenic when it's growing. Yeah, bro does not know. LeBron James reportedly found trying to cook rice without washing it beforehand. God. Of all of like I forgot to wash my rice once and within a week it turned blue in the fridge. Yikes. I didn't know rice could do that. Well, I guess if it's like rotting, right? Actually, couldn't that just be ordinary decay? Well, in any case, I'm glad that you've been careful about washing it ever since. Arsenic is nothing to fuck with. Okay, then we use the rough eraser over here. Nah, this happened 3 days ago? Well, I don't know what to say to that. Thank you for your contributions to science, I suppose. Can I use a gradient eraser? Is that going to work? Yeah, that works. Hmm. Do I have any stories of like food behaving weirdly after it's been stored? Oh yeah. Okay, so last year I got a gum graft, which is a surgery that basically I needed to get in order to make sure that one of my teeth didn't had like enough gum to stay in place, right? Because if your teeth don't have enough gum coverage, right, your gums act as sort of like a duct tape, if you will, to your teeth. So if you don't have enough gum coverage, your teeth are at risk of like basically like getting torn out of there. Try not to imagine that too hard. But basically, my doctor was like, "Yeah, you need to get like a gum graft surgery. We're gonna take a little bit of gum from the roof of your mouth, and we're gonna use that to cover your teeth so that they don't fall out." I'm like, "All right, boss, you got it. Please don't overcharge me for this." He definitely overcharged me. But in any case, for a little while, I couldn't eat solid foods. Definitely, it felt a lot of pain moving my mouth and trying to chew for sure. And so the issue was that at that point I had still in my refrigerator and like among the foods that I cooked, I had pot of like, oh god, yeah, dental surgery is so fucking tough. I have some horror stories from that experience, and we're not gonna get into those right now. In any case, I had some rice and also this like curry stew in my fridge that I hadn't finished just yet before I got my dental surgery because like they had to like move it to like a later day. And so I wasn't expecting to get the surgery like right then and there. That or yeah, I think it was because I was on a cancellation list. Like they were like, oh yeah, well the earliest we're gonna be able to get to you for this in this list is like in 19 months. I'm like, all right, cool, put me on the cancellation list. I've had curry in my fridge for like a month. Comrade, you should probably try and clean your fridge sometime soon. Like maybe do a deep clean in there. Get in there with some baking soda maybe too, just in case. God, I understand that situation though. Sometimes when like food, you've like left food in the fridge for too long. I just moved into this apartment last month. So that curry, that was like your inaugural apartment curry? Is that what I am to understand from this? Well, it's not a bad idea to do a deep cleaning every month or so. Basically. But yeah, definitely like put some baking soda where that curry was before. If there's any smell left over from the rotting food, th- I don't know. Maybe the curry isn't that bad just yet, but definitely try to get it out of there sooner rather than later. Maybe like tomorrow. Maybe just as my opinion on the situation. But yeah, no, I understand that being in that predicament though. Well, I'm gonna throw that shit out right now. Good work. Godspeed. But yeah, no, I've been in that situation where like something has been in the fridge for so long that I'm actually scared of like moving it. Like I'm worried that like it's like if I shift it too much, like it's going to explode because it's just like so nasty in there now. I remember back in like elementary school or something. Even I remember I had a packed lunch for my mom that I never ended up eating for some reason, and I just left that stuff in the unrefrigerated in the back of my locker for like the entire school year. And when it was time to clean out our lockers for the school year, I was like, "Oh God, all right, it's time." I don't remember much about it, but it was definitely like a very brilliant shade of blue. That can be tough to figure out to like finally get the gumption to throw something out, but it's important. But once you do have it, it's critical to act on it. Being able to seize the moment is also a sort of skill. When I had to clear out my fridge in my old place, I found some stuff I didn't even remember buying. God, yeah. Come to think of it, there's only some stuff in my fridge that I should throw out kind of sometime soon. Like for example, I have like this caramel spread that I bought like years ago now. Well, not years ago, but like a couple of years ago now. That I should probably think about like getting rid of soon. I did have some parmesan that I threw away recently. Hmm. I hope that one of the new features that the CSP introduces in like a future update is that it just lets you like really make it. Hang on, maybe I can do something like this. Geometric distortion. What does that do? Scale ratio. Let me just hit yes and see what happens. It's just bigger now. That was disappointing. Oh, maybe Ripple. Ripple might be better. Increase the rotation number of waves. What's that going to look like? Oh, yeah. This is exactly what the doctor ordered. All right, I have an idea for how to do this. So we'll have like this one to. Because I want to make it affect the like lines in the drawing itself. Let me see if I can do something with that. Okay, I see. I understand. Okay, so we add this to the like actual pink part here, and then when we grab this, and then we use that. Maybe bumping up the saturation but lowering the luminosity so it's like high color. Yes. Okay, we're onto something. Oh, what's going on over here? Blue isn't really what I'm looking for. It's probably definitely within like this ballpark, like some kind of purple maybe. Yeah, I used to have a college roommate. And speaking of stories of like storing food, I think my college roommate had the right idea because that guy was the kind of guy who like only ever stored beer in the fridge, so he never had to worry about anything going bad. In retrospect, my college roommate was like definitely low maintenance in some respects, but also high maintenance in others. Like for example, like the food thing, right? Like he only ever kept beer in the in the refrigerator in the dorm room, but then at the same time he would do some nasty shit in the bathroom that that I would have to clean up because he would have been like passed out from the from the binge drinking. What a guy! I hope he's doing all right. Okay, why is this one specifically acting like this? Oh, it's I see. I understand. Hang on, let me just kind of transplant these two up here. And maybe like for these ones we can even like wait, hang on. I'm about to do like a 300 IQ play. All right, move this one here. Okay, very nice. And then we okay, what do we do then? Oh my goodness. Hmm. Oh, I know what to do. All right. First of all, where is this other little chunk at? Like, what? Okay, it's right there. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab these two. We're going to make them pure black and white in this one here. Okay, yeah. All right, edit, tonal correction, binarization. We can make the threshold a little bit lower. Not that low. There we go. Okay, edit, convert brightness to opacity. Yes! Okay, we are back in business. That's odd though. Why isn't it like being affected by this? Oh, I know why. Hang on. I need to use the liquefy tool. Let me drag some of this stuff out over here. Yeah, there we go. Uh-oh. Hang on. It's lagging a little bit. Let me save my work first. Maybe I should do that. I feel like one of those like German candy makers who have to like roll out a whole thing of toffee. It's crazy to think that I've one like I feel like because candy is very normally associated with like sweetness and like lightness and like sugariness, we very often forget that like the dudes who had to like make candy in like the olden days were probably built like fucking brick shit houses because of the fact that they were basically slapping around hardened caramel. They would have been built like bakers, except like they would have smelled like burnt sugar instead of like bread, I guess. Okay, and here's one more thing we're going to do. We're going to add a thingy here. I remember watching this video of like how bread used to be made, right? Like they had like these trowels where the baker would have to basically like slap it around a whole, probably with some assistance maybe, but like the baker would essentially have to smack around like a whole like dog-sized pile of dough in this trowel to just like knead it, and like the sheer amount of like strength you would have had to build from that was crazy. Okay, multiply this a little bit. Okay, now we're going to grab Hawk's outline, make another layer beneath that, fill that with like a white tone, Gaussian blur that so that we have a little bit of like something to help Hawk stand out from the background a little bit. All right, and this part of the panel should be good. Hang on, I'm gonna stretch my wrist real quick. Feels nicer to roll them around a little bit if you've been working for a while. Supposedly it's good for you too. I'll believe that. Seriously, number one fear is like eventually developing some kind of reparative synergy. I've seen so many people have to deal with that, and I'm trying to not be about that life. Ideally, it's going to be very important in the next few coming days too, because I'm planning to like really rush, as in like focus on. I'm planning to rush the production of this comic and kind of try to kick it into overdrive if I can. It's been around long enough. This dragon must be slain. Or something like that. Huh. That's odd. How come Hawk is still there? Oh, she's just in there for some reason. Wait, so if I take this away, is no Hawk is so. Did I just like duplicate Hawk for no goddamn reason? That's funny. She could stay there. Why not? Oh, we should probably be doing this on a separate layer too, just in case. Would it perhaps be better to use this color here? Okay, other way around. There we go. Oh, wait, foreground to transparent. I need to make this a lighter green color. Or lighter dark green, I guess. Okay, then we have it over here. Okay, so my thought process is we leave this one basically empty, and then we just have some lines kind of distinguishing these next few. Okay, then over here. Oh yeah, I just remembered I have to like make a stream schedule for today. Or for next week. What should I do for that? I've kind of been wanting to do something with like that one frame, that one very recognizable frame of like Soul doing a jumping dust attack. I don't know. I might mess around with that concept a little bit. Okay, and then what we can do is we can use this darker green color to act as like a shadow color for the curtain flopping around in the wind like this. Wait, would that actually make any sense? I guess not really, right? Unless we added this, and then when we select this part here, we could have the gradient just very lightly coming in from below like this. Then, yeah, like this. There we go. That's a better way of distinguishing it. Okay. Very nice. Perhaps what I'm lacking is like a greater variety in the green tones that I'm using. So maybe I can like make the ones on the inside of the tent even darker. And that way I can get away with using like the ordinary dark green tones up in here. That might work. We can do it like that. Okay. Maybe we can even like darken up this part here. We can also use a eraser right here, just for like the very border of it, just to kind of introduce the fact that it's like, okay, this is the exit to this place. That could work. Okay. How's that look? Pretty tight if I do say so myself. Alright then. I really want to be able to finish this page today. It would be pretty dope if I could finish this page today. I'm gonna try and push myself to finish this page today. That being said, okay, let's put all of these in this folder just so we have an easier time managing them, because I think like, yeah, this whole part is like the shadows outside. Alright, for the dome, I remember we had like some kind of patina on it. Let me open up page 2 so we can get the right color scheme for that. Here we go. I should save my work real quick. Alright, I think I used one of these halftone blocks or whatever on the holes here. Okay, then over here. Then we can probably use some kind of like dark blue as a with the blending mode to make the shadows for it. Actually, that might help a lot with like color cohesion. Let's try doing that. Don't. LeBron James reportedly found putting the all the shadows and the textures on the same damn layer. Okay. Over there. Okay. We can use some darker blues for the holes here. You know, just like that, it actually works pretty nice, just with the darken on it. I don't know. I feel like there must be something more we can do. Ooh, I'm kind of liking this one. For some reason, this whole area is just very Arizona iced tea coated. I don't know how else to put it. Hard light is also kind of nice. I might go. I might try to rush hard light. Yeah, okay, let's do that. That's not really doing much. Although, unless, hang on. Okay. Actually, we should select this other one too. Why not? And we increase by 1. Make this a little smaller. Maybe, will this also work for like the 2/10 over here? Let's try and see that. Let's see Paul Allen's blending mode later. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. And maybe we can have like a flash right here. Expand area by 1. Can I get away with just using like the normal grass tufts here? Do you think that's gonna work? Okay, maybe not those grass tufts. Maybe these ones. Yeah, there we go. We can make them a little bit bigger as they approach. I kind of like that, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, we should also do something with the sky, shouldn't we? Can I still just apply the blue here? Will that actually work? Not as much. I am sad to report that it won't work nearly as much. I guess we have to do this one mano a mano. Okay. Honestly, I'm really digging this. I'm really liking how this panel is turning out. I'm gonna need to show that thing off. It's kind of nice when I can just like work on instinct on some of these parts. Like for this one, I'm not really particularly thinking hard. Like I am thinking, obviously, I'm always thinking, but I it's a little bit more like intuitive. The sensation of making this cloud shade. It's a nice change of pace. Nah, this part would have like. Okay, yep. Yeah, now we can like refine the shapes a little bit more. Okay. Nice. And then maybe we can add even some darker shadows further on out. Something about it doesn't sit right with me. Let me see if I can't fiddle around with the color of it a little more. Maybe like just a little bit lighter. Perfect. Yeah, that looks pretty menacing. I'm not gonna lie. Good work. Yeah, I can even like lower the light on this one. Oh, hang on. I think I know why the grass is looking a little weird to me. Pardon me. I think it's because I actually accidentally like made it like the blue of the top layer as Oh no, hang on. I need to like transplant the plants. So I need like less saturation or more saturation, lower luminosity. And then less saturation? Yeah, that works. Okay, now we can do a ratio. Before I forget, I'm going to add his Ms. Frizzle type pattern. I also noticed that I failed to miss a spot right there, so I'm going to need to go back to that real quick too. But the drip comes first. Okay, that would be here and here. I think we got all of them. Let's do the shirt first, since that's the biggest part. Okay. I think we can make most of the arm over here shaded as well. Okay. A few more like this. Probably do something about like the luminosity of it itself. I feel like it's like a little too saturated. Yeah, it's a little better. Goodbye, Kaizen process. We are not a manufacturing company, and we are not a business CEO from the 80s trying to find a way to get rich quick. Shoo. Okay. Seriously, the thing is like that like the Kaizen process has been mentioned so frequently in the like business classes that I've taken, right? That I'm wondering if there might have been like like it's really that good, or if it might just be like the only process they can think of that's like continuous improvement. I feel like the second one would be the funnier answer, because that implies that before like the U.S. borrowed, like the Western world borrowed, like the this Japanese idea of just like make stuff better. Like they had no like way to phrase the concept. That or some dingus repackaged it in the 80s, like I said, and or rather, like I theorized, and they just try to like use a name in a different language, particularly the Japanese language, which at the time, like the U.S. was in this weird place where like they very obviously didn't care for minorities, so but they had a lot of like increased cultural exports, particularly from Japan, specifically in terms of like because like Japan was increasing so quickly as like an economic power in that era due to their influence in electronics. I feel like a lot of like the business people of that era were like, holy shit, we need to be on whatever the fuck they're on, right? Like we need to be able to like do what they can do. So what ended up happening is that like a lot of like the corporate mysticism from the 80s is just like a bunch of different white dudes trying to like grab as many Japanese terms as possible and trying to as much Japanese stuff as possible and trying to repackage it to like the 80s equivalent of a tech bro to be like, yeah, dog, this is exactly what they're doing. It's gonna blow your socks off. Your life is gonna be changed forever. I feel like that's what happened. I don't have sources to back it up though. I really hope it's something that's not nearly as stupid as what I'm saying happened. But I feel like it's a strong possibility, and that frightens me. Page 9. Okay, we're gonna grab. Does that look good? Not particularly. Does it need more? Nope. All right, back to the drawing board. Okay. Shadows on the shorts. Shadows on the belt. Shadow on the hedgehog. We talked about Shadow the Hedgehog a little bit yesterday. I remember that Shadow and like Werewolf Sonic from Sonic Unleashed when I was a kid actually used to scare me a little bit. Like I was like they literally went, dude, what if like Sonic was like evil and fucked up? And Child Me was like, oh dude, no way, that's terrifying. I was like the perfect mark as a child. I was so gullible and shiny. Now I'm an old cynical bastard who doesn't believe in anything. That's not true. I believe in a lot of things still. Hopefully, mostly good ones. Makes me think of a Sonic post I saw earlier where it was fan art, and the second caption was like, "What does Sonic do to you people?" God, it's crazy because it really is like that. Every Sonic fan that I know of it has like their brain chemistry rearranged from being exposed to that pesky hedgehog. That beast does something to people's psyches that we have not like had long term effect studies on just yet. Well, I guess as long as it inspires people to like create something outside of themselves, right? It can't be whatever it is that it causes cannot fathomably be that bad. Sometimes it's a little difficult to understand, but it can't be bad. I don't know. What's the series that like? Okay, I was about to say what's the series that changed my brain chemistry. The obvious answer to that is Homestuck. We had a whole thing about it yesterday. I'm gonna need to like up my game on like the topics that I discussed during stream because like while some of them can be like just organically received, I need to like get back to my hustle of like reading my newsletters to have something to talk about because otherwise I'm going to be like an NPC just like recycling the dialogue that I had the day before. Shit happens too recently. That's why I try to take at least like one day between streams just to make sure I don't go over the same stuff. The friendly repeater. The repetitious friendster. Okay, and then right on top of this, I'm going to add a shadow layer. And hopefully this will work. Alright, check me out, check me out. I'm going to select the shadows on this one, and then I'm going to invert that so I can erase the shadows on here. I feel like I'm like opening up a new eye. I feel like I'm learning some forbidden technique that I wasn't supposed to learn yet. That looks really good, honestly. I'm gonna need to remember that one. That being said, it is getting a little late. I wanted to finish this page today, but I don't think that's going to be feasible, so I'm gonna call it here, I think. Is anybody streaming tonight? I feel like nobody streams on Sundays. It's like it's like mail, right? Like nobody, you don't get mail on Sundays, generally speaking. Nah, I'm at it here. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I hope you have a relaxing week. I will be publishing a schedule later today. Yeah, take it easy. Later. Bye.